Welcome to another episode of The Voice of Rio Grande. For us here, fall is in the air. It still feels a lot like summer, but for us, we're getting ready for our fall term to begin, and our classes start in less than 2 weeks. Can't believe that it's here. We are broadcasting today from our campus in Rio Grande, but our campuses in Meigs County, in Vinton County, and in Jackson County are as excited and energized to start the new term. There's still time to enroll in fall classes. Some of you may have been with us last night on a Facebook Live session that we had. We had a lot of great calls and questions and conversation during that session from prospective students and those that are still getting ready to join us and finishing those final touches to get enrolled. And there were other students that have been registered for classes for months now and are ready to get on our campus. So it's a really exciting time as we begin to launch this fall 2017 term. We have programs and services in lots of locations. We have a lot of options. So if you need more information, visit our website at rio.edu. You're also welcome to visit one of our campuses. Just walk in and we can help you get what you need. So many of our viewers and listeners are well versed in who we are at the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College, how we are the only public community college and private university that are blended in the country. We get a lot of well-deserved notoriety and attention from our unique identity. In fact, I was invited a couple of weeks ago to meet with the U.S. Department of Education Secretary DeVos, and it was really great to be there and represent both sectors, community college and private universities, and talk about some really important issues related to safety and security on our campuses, as we talked about Title IX and sexual assault prevention and response, and it was a really valuable time. So a lot of good things for Rio and for higher education in general. Our university and college is governed by 2 boards. We have a community college board and a university board, and my guest today is one of our board leaders. I'm really pleased to have Bobbi Montgomery here. She is the Vice Chair of the Rio Grande Community College Board of Trustees. Thank you, Bobbi, for joining us today. I think we have a lot of things to talk about.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I have to be honest, I didn't even know this station existed and this show was on the air, and I have to say that has been one of my favorite things about being on the board at Rio is I always thought I knew what was going on here because it was right in my backyard. Right. But having the opportunity to serve on the board and finding out every time I come to campus, it's a new discovery. You know, there's something else. Wow, I didn't know we did that. Right. And so it's exciting.
It is exciting. I mean, I really share some of that. It's a little embarrassing to say that, but I think also just it speaks to the variety of things that we do, because I still have those moments. I've been here as president for almost 3 years, and I still have those moments where I learn about something in our history or something that we've done and maybe we shelved it for a little while and it's time to bring it back, or you know, some opportunity that that we've been pursuing that I didn't know the details about. So it's been really exciting. So I share that with you, and I think it's really neat about who we are.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Well, tell us a little bit. You know, I have had the opportunity to get to know you through your board work and also your community work, and just everything that you have done as just a very active citizen in this region. And I think it's one of those reasons, because of who you are and how bright you are and all the things that you bring to the table about care and concern and connection with the community. And those are the reasons that I know that we sought your expertise and your involvement on our board. So can you tell us a little bit about your work? I know we keep you busy with the board work, but you do have a day job.
Yes.
I have to remember that you actually have other things to do. So can you give us a little bit of background on what all you do?
Sure. And don't we all have day jobs and night jobs and evening jobs, and we all play multiple roles. As far as my day job, I do work for a family business, Montgomery Machine Fabrication, which most people in the region have had some connection with, because we repair a lot of things, a whole lot of things. Wow. And the company was started by my father 35 years ago now. And it's one of those examples of, I think, really the American entrepreneur. Didn't set out to own his own business, but those were the circumstances. His job moved away, and that's what he did. He just, I guess, you know, saw a need and saw a fit and felt he could fill it. And I am fortunate enough to be in the second generation there. And the greatest thing about our industry is we get to see what every other industry in this region is doing. As a machine shop and a fabrication shop, we repair things that are broken. So any industry that's going on in this area, whether it be hospitals or the food industry, automotive, whatever it is, we see a little bit of everything. So I've had a great training in the economic diversity of our region just based on the nature of our business.
Wow. Yeah, that's, I mean, it gets you really up close to that. And
Very
just,
much so.
you see it, you feel it, and you really have clearly developed an understanding of just the whole breadth of what that economic engine and kind of how the pieces of the community work together. And I know your home life, I know your family well too, and I know that you have a lot going on there, and I know your son is going to be taking some class or so with us.
Yes.
So that's great, and tell us a little bit more about your family.
Well, I am married, and my husband is a financial advisor and works in the Southern Ohio region primarily, but has clients all over the country. I have a daughter going off to college this fall. So she moves in next week. Scary stuff. As much as I tried to convince her to stay close to home, the idea of being far away from home was really appealing. So she picked literally as far away as she could get in the state of Ohio, and we'll be going to Bowling Green.
Wonderful.
So I do believe she'll love it there. She'll fit in great. It'll be a great fit for her, but I don't think she could have gone to a state school and gotten any farther logistically away from us.
You know, it's interesting. Yes, yeah, exactly. But she'll do great, and it'll be good to see what things that she may have to share with us that can help us make us better. You know, I have a daughter who will be entering her senior year this year in high school. So this summer we did college visits, and she's had already done her Rio visit, and she'll probably do a couple more of those. But we went to other schools around the country, and it was really neat to see have those experiences and see the things that we could bring back to our campus here and try, or ideas that kind of, you know, inspired us to think about doing things some new ways. So I hope she'll share some of those through you with us as well. I think that'll be great. You know, one of the things you were talking about is this connection that you have through your business and through your family business with all of these industries and things that are going on. So tell me a little bit of some of the work that you've done, because I know outside of that, you've also done a great deal of work in community development, youth development, economic development that way. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm fascinated by that work you've done.
Well, thank you.
It's so meaningful.
Thank you. When I first went to work for my dad's business, I actually worked for another machine shop in Columbus for 5 years before I went to work for my dad. And when I got here, I saw two things. I saw there was no feeder industry for our employment. And I thought, I saw these people that were the same age as my dad working in the shop, and I thought, where do the new employees come from? Right. You know, that's it. Kind of. I'm thinking about transitioning a business to the next generation, and I'm thinking, okay, where are the workers coming from?
Right.
Well, that was really a time in the state budget where crunches were really being put on vocational education. So my first foray into trying to figure out how to solve a problem was figuring out where the next employees were coming from, because we are a skilled industry. And we must have skilled tradespeople. We were back then able to work a deal with Jackson High School and Buckeye Hills Career Center and develop a training program that led to us getting some more employees. So that was fantastic.
Yeah.
When I saw that combination come together, really started to bring some things out in my brain, you know, about how we might make that go a little further and how we might do that. Then I did a Big Brothers Big Sister pilot program. It was something similar to that. It wasn't actually Big Brothers Big Sisters, and met a young lady and started to see the need for attachment in our community. She was my mentee, and during the time that she was my mentee, we watched her mother, her sister, and her grandmother die of overdose.
Wow.
And the sheer depths of pain in that family. But what I also saw come out, not only with her, but also her extended family, was a sense of a lack of attachment. The grandparents had careers and had been attached to the community, and then they lost that. And that idea that there has to be something that people are engaged in and want to be a part of, and they have to know that a community is going to have a job for them.
Right.
And that they can make a home and be attached and be a part of that. And that's sort of where the youth development thing came out of. And for 10 years, I had a youth development organization in Jackson County called Launch. And unfortunately, we closed in 2015 when our funding ran out, and we were unable to secure another grant cycle to keep that going. But we made a difference for 10 years, and that's something to go on.
Well, and what I would say, just you know, still hearing other people talk about that program, you know, the impact is lasting. You know, you have a 10-year period where you're active in that organization, but that work continues, and it's one of those things that, as I've heard you talk about it and see what that program was about, it's viral. I mean, it starts changing a community, and so I think that's really a beautiful thing, and what a contribution to the community and to people's lives. I mean, it's just really phenomenal. And I think, you know, when you look at things like that and the work that we're doing in Jackson County with our new facility there, you know, I think about there's some really neat synergies there. You know, some of the individuals who may have been supported through Launch may be our students, or may have family members that are our students down the road, or, you know, now. So that's been really neat. The Jackson Center, gosh, we were there on July 28th for the open house.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, it was unbelievable, the response that we got from the community. The people that showed up, they were so excited.
They were.
So excited. The excitement, to say the excitement was in the air, I know that's such a cliche, but it was so true. And of course, there was a lot of wind. There was a lot of wind. But it was a great opening, and the idea, we're so fortunate in Jackson, so excited to have that there. The idea that we could fill a building, an empty building. No community wants to see a building be empty.
Right.
And so the idea of filling that building, not only with a place that employs people, because Rio employs over 300 people. So let's, you know, let's start there. So we not only filled a building with an employer, but one that's going to create more opportunity.
Right.
As you alluded to, and I really didn't explain, but I have spent I spent over 10 years on the Economic Development Board in Jackson County. And the number one thing that I took from that is when I started on the board, I thought, oh, we're all trying to get a big employer here and we need 1,000 jobs and that's going to save us and be this great thing. And that's wonderful if we got it. But remember, those people can leave just as quick as they can come.
True.
What I did learn, though, is that most new investment and most growth in economic development comes from the employers we already have. And the most new companies are started by entrepreneurs within our own community that see a need and fill it. So that really growing your own talent is where it's at. And that's what excites me so much about Rio and the opportunities and having that center there in Jackson.
Right. Just makes sense.
Oh, it was so exciting.
Well, I want to talk more about the Jackson Center in a minute.
Yes.
We need to take a quick break. Then we'll come back and talk about the Jackson Center and some of the other things that I know are burning on it, before we completely run out of time today. So we'll be back in a moment. And welcome back to the Voice of Rio Grande. I'm here today with the Vice Chair of the Rio Grande Community College Board of Trustees, Bobbi Montgomery. And we've been talking about a lot of things so far.
Yes.
Your work in the community, businesses, the Jackson Center is what we were talking about as we were going to break, and I'd like to kind of pick that up again.
Sure.
Bobbi, I know that you participated in kind of a roundtable discussion that our Chancellor of Higher Education, John Kerry, had led, and there have been members from Job and Family Services and other organizations at that table. Tell us a little bit about that and kind of what's your sense of things as you heard from employers and companies. What did you take away?
Well, I'd be happy to discuss that because it was really informative in my role here as a trustee. So Chancellor Kerry pulled together employers from the region, and I'll give a great example of why Rio is so important. Kenworth was one of the employers there, and they stated their inability to find qualified, technically trained employees to complete the work that they have on the floor, and their backlog of work. And so they really touted and praised the partnership that they have with Rio. And Rio was actually able to develop the program, as you well know, and go into their facility and meet their training needs. But one of the things that they really stressed was, yes, that gave us education, and there are lots of institutions out there that can provide education, but what Rio did for us was fill a need that we couldn't meet and allows us to train and promote our own people, which makes us even more productive. And so they really were able to hit on and zero in on why it's so important to have that in the region for regional economic development.
Well, I think that's a really good example, and there's so many others. That's something I'm really proud about at the work that we do here, because it is about determining needs. Now, we have students from 6 continents, from 30 countries, from 24 states. I mean, we have students that come from all over the country and the world, but we also have 75% of our students are from this 4-county region, and they're students that range from college credit plus students who can actually start here as young as the 7th grade. That's a little startling, but yes, they could, if they're college ready, take a class in the 7th grade. We usually don't have them start that young, but and then we have students who are, have had students that are in their 80s taking classes. And so, you look at kind of that breadth of services and our connection to the communities and, like you said, the needs. And I think it's one of those beautiful things to be able to be responsive. You know what I mean? It's not something that you have to wait 3 and 4 years down the road when the need's not even there anymore.
No, the concept of the partnership between the community college and the university, and as you stated earlier, it's unique and the only one in the entire country. The idea that we can fill these needs in CCP with these young students, although the idea of seeing a 7th grader on campus, I tell you now, when I see the college students, I think, shouldn't you be in 8th grade? what's going on here?
Right.
But at any rate, and as you said earlier, I have a 16-year-old who will be taking classes at the Jackson Center this fall, and so we are very excited about that as well. But yes, that combination and filling those needs right here in the community, and that partnership and the ability to not only do stackable credentials and move people up the ladder, but that can go all the way then through a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree, depending upon their program, is amazing. And I mean, that resource right here, it's why I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Well, I think, you know, that stackable credentials, it's something that it doesn't happen by accident. We work hard to build it. And, you know, you and I have talked about return on investment. You know, anytime you know, as you know, we have these children that are in college or taking classes, and it's expensive. I mean, it's definitely an investment. And what we look to do is to make sure that we're affordable, we're providing a quality education, that we're affordable, that we're accessible, and that we're building a stronger community here. And those are some of the things that we're talking about as we are definitely in progress with a campaign toward a replacement levy. Many people in the community will see us on the ballot on November the 7th. And have not seen Rio Grande Community College on the ballot in 43 years. So it's been a long time. It's been since the 70s. And so you've been working on that process as well. And I can tell that the reason you are, I'm going to put words in your mouth and then you can fix them.
Okay.
And that is that, you know, you are passionate about, you believe in what Rio's doing because you see the fruit of that.
I do.
So talk a little bit about the levy as we're doing that out in the community.
Well, I had a very interesting conversation this morning, actually. I was working in the machine shop, and we had a farmer come in from Gallia County, and I always take the opportunity.
Thank you.
What zip code are you in? Will you be voting in this election? And let me tell you a couple things. And we had a great conversation, and his immediate response was, of course I would support that. It just makes sense. And he also had a daughter in college, and he said, I tried to get her to go to Rio because it was so affordable, and that's not where she wanted to go, because he said the same thing. She wanted to get as far away as she could. And so, you know, but when I truly look at this return on investment and this idea of a levy, it does just make sense, as he said. I have a sister who has her LPN, and we were having this conversation just recently. She's considering going back for her RN, so we started talking about it, and I said, okay, well, how much more money would you make if you had this degree? And she said, right now, today, there are 3 posts where I work that haven't been filled for 6 months, and it's $8 an hour more than I make. And I said, and you work 40 hours a week? She goes, yeah, usually more. So I started doing some quick math, and I said, that's more than $16,000 in 1 year. You know? I said, how much is the program? And so she went back, and she came back, and she said, well, it's about, I'm going to do the online program. It's a little bit more than the in-person one, but not much. But it's about $14,000 in that range. And I said, so you're telling me that we have 115% return on investment in 1 year.
Wow.
So
I would invest in that, wherever it is, right?
Year. And, you know, that is a really good example of how exciting having this community college here is for us, because that's an associate degree program. And something that's so affordable, so attainable, and makes a huge difference in somebody's life. That stackable pathway, stackable certificates and pathways to more money. That's economic development for the entire community.
Well, I mean, and I think about a lot of the things like that when you look at the individuals in our communities who have a RIO education.
Right.
You know, we know that 1 in 4 of the degrees in Jackson County is a RIO degree.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty impressive when you
That's
know
huge.
that there are a lot of options, even
Yes.
in our own backyards, of options for students. So I think that's really, really significant. And when you look at 1 in 16 people in Jackson County is either an alum or is a key supporter, someone who said, RIO is important enough, making a difference enough that I want to support with, financially what RIO is doing. And so, I think that goes along with our desire to keep a very affordable education for our students, but very high quality too.
Right.
People have asked us, what is this replacement levy, what is that going to mean for me? Because it's a property tax levy, and so what it is to have current property evaluations used for the tax. But what would you say to someone who says, what is this going to mean for me, as far as the cost and that kind of thing? How do you answer that question?
Well, first of all, honestly, so it is a replacement levy. You have been paying it for 43 years.
Right.
It's been on there, and this is a replacement levy is a reevaluation at current property values. So for someone with a $100,000 property, I believe the figures come out at
$2.39 a month. So it's like,
it's $23 on the year, something in that range.
Right.
So how can you refuse? When you look at all these numbers, when you see that our employers are saying what they need is a more educated, more training, these things in our community to stay here, to grow here.
Yes.
And when you look at the numbers that 1 in 4, degrees come from RIO, I mean, you start to say, really? Is that all you need?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's such a small amount of money for something that makes such a huge difference in our community.
I couldn't agree with you more, and we've talked to a lot of people that just, like you said, the gentleman you spoke with this morning, that happens again and again. It's been really positive. People are extremely supportive. They understand that we've been good stewards. We've been investing in the community and our students and focused on our students and not a lot of other distractions.
Right.
And I think that people see that and they recognize that. You know what, we are running out of time, and it always seems like it goes so fast. Would love to have you back as we go along and be able to talk about some more things. We've got a lot going on with our students coming on campus next week, and welcome weekend starting and all the activities that go along with that. And so thank you, and I hope you will join us on the next episode of The Voice of Rio Grande.